Okay, we are in the Rhode Island Veterans Cemetery, and if you go to the southeast corner, you'll find Historical Cemetery number 35. If you take a look at these stones, they're all very small, stout, bare minimum of inscription. Let's take a look at a few of them here. Annie Rosen, James Walsey, and Michael. So there are females buried here, and they're arranged in these nice, neat little rows. Some of them are leaning, obviously because of the erosion, the effects of weather. But in a military cemetery, this is rather odd. You know, what were these people doing here? Women obviously weren't allowed to fight during this period, so we did a little bit of research. I went back to the car, and I discovered that the time period in which these stones were laid down was about 1936 to 1988. It would hardly make them historical. It turns out that all of these people buried in Historical Cemetery number 36 are patients of the Ladd School. The Ladd School is just beyond these woods here. There's no trespassing signs everywhere. It's really hard to get into. It's under James Harvey here. We'll get down low. They seem to have this strange inscription. It almost looks like an iron cross. Have to figure out what that is. But the Ladd School is very, very close. But the police don't allow anyone in or out. Well, they allow them out. They allow them out in handcuffs with a big slap-happy fine. But in terms of getting people in, it's a different story. Apparently there's a way to get in the back, which I'm trying to research, but again, not at the risk of trespassing. So just as I was just looking through the area, I came across this area, this part of the cemetery that looked much different than the rest. And these are people who have died at the Ladd School. This is where they buried them. The Ladd School is very notorious. It existed founded just after 1900. It was shut down in the early 90s, and it's a notorious place because it used to be known as the Exeter School for the Feebly Minded. During the period of eugenics, they thought that if they separated people who had mental deficiencies from the rest of the population, they could prevent them from spreading their genes to people who didn't have those type of deficiencies. And so they actually try to make something of their lives, teach them a craft, teach them how to do things. But the problem is that the school became overwhelmed by some of the harder cases, the people who had the more serious conditions, and it became almost a depository of people who families had abandoned. And Ladd School was underfunded, understaffed. It didn't have the proper facilities, medical, and infrastructure to keep that many patients that many patients cared for. And so, as a result, abuses started to occur. This is all chronicled. Jason Carpenter has a terrific book about what went on in the Ladd School. Here's somewhere a little different here. These have crosses on them. Not sure of the significance of the cross versus the iron cross here, but nonetheless we'll photograph. Here's Christopher Ford here. We'll photograph these anyway and put this as part of our Ladd School investigation. But because of the overcrowding and the bad conditions there, the school went under a number of reviews. The founder resigned, and they rewarded him by naming the school after him. It's now known as the Ladd School. And you can see here, there's a little sign back here. What does this say? It says Wildlife Sanctuary. No hunting. I'm sure there'll be signs posted for trespassing as well. I said the Ladd School is very, very close. About a 20-minute walk through the woods. So this little cemetery here, and we have another one here over on the side, number 36. It's not associated with the Ladd School, but these are patients who died while they were patients of that particular institution. You notice the graves. I noticed when I first saw them, they were a lot different from, I couldn't place the time period, but a lot different from the ones you see in the Veteran Cemetery, and also a lot different from the historical ones you see from 17th, 18th, and 19th century. So crude, so stark, no dates, nothing. And the jade graves of adjacent people next to them, not related. So obviously they shared something in common, and it turns out that this is our first taste of what the Ladd School wrought. This is the cemetery. A total, I believe, of 88 stones here, if we counted them. Absolutely amazing. We just stumbled on this during our travel, so we'll keep you updated and put this in the folder for our investigation of the infamous Exeter School of the Feebly Minded. As we track back here, and you can see the entire reach of the cemetery from point to point. We have a person running the blockade. Not smart. There's this building right here. I'm just going to back up so we can get to the front of it. This must have been part of the original school here. Looks very much like it. Boarded up, no trespassing. We are not crossing those red no trespassing signs. We are not. There's another building that's just beyond there, but we're not going any further. Somebody did just drive in there. They may be part of the construction crew or not, but again, this is one part of the building here, and you can see it's all boarded up. Stories of people actually going in, and ooh, I can see the cake. I can see the cake building in the distance. Right there, it's in the distance. You can see it, the orange and white. Just beyond that, I can actually see it. Police. And I'm taking this as long as I don't cross this no trespassing sign. I'm going to be okay. I would love to drive through again, but again, we're not going to tempt fate here. This very well, and I'll consult the Carpenter book, may have been one of the first buildings constructed or one of the later buildings constructed. But you can see the cake building right there, right between those two trees. And I'll back up even more. Maybe we can get a better look at it. Outside of my car here. I'm going to get as close to the sign as we can without going over. And you cannot see it. So let's go forward a little bit. We get a little tree blocking us. Get out of here.